The French Revolutions of 1830 and 1848.
Essential question. What factors in France contributed to the revolutions of 1830 and 1848, and how did these revolutions affect the rest of the world?
The theme of the French Revolutions of 1830 and 1848 is political and social change, as the people of France fought for a better political system and social justice for everyone. After uprisings in the 1820s, France still experienced widespread discontent. Street protests in 1830 and 1848 erupted into revolts that spread from Paris to the rest of the country.
After the Congress of Vienna in 1815, Louis XVIII had been restored to the French throne. He issued a constitution called the Charter of French Liberties, which placed a two-house legislature in France, while also limiting the freedoms of the press. Although Louis XVIII had a great deal of power, the king stayed away from absolutism as to avoid conflict in France.
The charter was originally written by Henry I of England in 1100, as he ruled over France at the time. Louis XVIII then modified the document in 1814. Although it was meant to avoid absolutism, Louis still granted himself a lot of power, saying, "The person of the king is inviolable and sacred. His ministers are responsible to him. In the king alone is vested the executive power."
Despite these efforts of compromise, few citizens were satisfied. The ultra-royalists, who were members of the clergy and nobles in support of the king, did not appreciate the constitutional-style government. Instead, they wished to restore the old monarchy and regime.
These ultra-royalists faced opposition from groups such as the liberals and the radicals. Liberals, who were mostly middle-class citizens, fought for a more even distribution of power throughout the classes. Radicals wanted a republic, and the working class hoped for a better pay.
After the death of Louis XVIII in 1824, his younger brother Charles X became king. Charles was an avid believer in absolutism and rejected the Charter of French Liberties. In July 1830, he suspended the legislature, limited voting rights, and restricted the press in a document titled the July Ordinances.
The response to the July Ordinances was forceful. After barricading Paris streets and fighting with soldiers, the rebels took over the city. Charles X abdicated and fled soon after.
With Charles X off the throne, most of the rebels wanted to set up a republic. In order to compromise, moderate liberals advocated for a constitutional monarchy. The Chamber of Deputies, which was the lower house of the French legislature, chose Louis Philippe, the Duke of Orleans, as king.
Louis Philippe was the cousin of Charles X and a supporter of revolutionary causes. He was known as a citizen king because he owed his throne to the people.
In the Orleanist Manifesto, Adolphe Thiers outlines the situation in France, saying, "Charles X can no longer return to Paris. He has caused the blood of the people to flow. The Duke of Orleans is a prince devoted to the cause of the revolution. The Duke of Orleans is a citizen king. He has borne the tricolors with order. The Duke of Orleans does not declare himself. He awaits our will. It is from the French people that he will hold the crown."
Although Louis was considered the citizen king, he only extended suffrage to France's wealthier citizens. Many did not have the power to vote, and the middle class was favored at the expense of the workers.
The French Revolution of 1848. Discontent throughout France grew during the 1840s. Everyone from radicals, utopians, and even liberals disliked Louis Philippe's ruling tactics. A recession in later years only increased discontent as factories shut down, jobs were lost, and product prices increased.
As the government attempted to silence newspapers bashing government officials and stop public meetings, angry crowds once again took to the streets.
As chaos took over the city, Louis Philippe abdicated. A second republic was then proclaimed, but not without many disagreements. Liberals wanted moderate political reforms, while socialists wanted great social and economic change.
By June, upper and middle class interests had gained control of the government, shutting down workshops set up to provide jobs for the poor and unemployed. Workers again took to the streets, but this time were met by bourgeoisie liberals who acted violently against them. Before the government could crush the rebellion, around 1,500 people were killed.
Towards the end of 1848, the National Assembly set forth to restore order and wrote a constitution for the Second Republic. It created a president and a one-house legislature while extending the right to vote to all men.
After elections were held, the winner was Louis Napoleon, nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. He appealed to the working class and seemed to care about the issue of poverty in France. Like his uncle, he declared himself emperor in 1852, ending the Second Republic. With this, Napoleon began a new era in France, an era of heightened economic growth, stability, and contentment for the moment.
Connections to today. The 2012 film Les Miserables depicts the lives of the working class in France as they fight for their rights. Written by Victor Hugo, the musical depicts events leading up to the July Revolution of 1830. Although there are many fictional elements, the story shows the obstacles, poverty, and struggles that those opposing the monarchy faced.